Oh.
Robots, you have been apprehended. Reduce function to standby mode.
2, 1. Hey everybody, welcome to the KF Podcast. This is our special, very, very super special second interview show. Welcome back to the show, our good friends, Tim Hines and Miss Natasha Coppola-Shalom. Hi guys.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey.
Welcome back.
To have them back on the show because we have a second episode of Chrome coming up. Everybody remembers we watched Chrome back on May 30th. First episode, we talked to Tim and Natasha separately about that back in May. We all enjoyed it. We were all looking forward to a new episode, but we were kind of wondering what happened. You know, we were expecting one in like the August timeframe, which we'll get to that. I'm sure Tim's going to explain all that. But first, thanks guys for coming back.
Absolutely.
Happy holidays. How's everybody doing?
Natasha, you want to lead?
I'm doing great. Work is good. I mean, a lot of things have been pushed because of COVID, but I have a busy year coming up, fingers crossed. Got engaged.
Yes, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
got a
you
new
have
puppy.
a busy year, like getting married and all that. That's cool stuff. Did that all happen just recently? Was that like
Yeah.
kind of?
The
Love in the time of
weekend
COVID.
Before Thanksgiving, like 4 weeks ago, we got engaged. So, yeah,
When did
got
you
a
guys
new puppy.
And I have to say, I was all suspicious of this guy at first, and he turned out to be super great, and he's the real thing, and he makes Natasha happy, but he's a super good guy. So, my wife and I, who she was a researcher for Microsoft, she kind of reamed him to make sure that. And I don't mean to be paternalistic or anything over the top of you, but I was just like, because, an internet romance, and then he turned out to be this super great, everything wonderful that, she was saying he was. And I don't, and again, but it's just,
Did you guys meet during COVID, or did you know him for a while?
We met during COVID. It's this
Oh,
wild whirlwind love story. Yeah, like crazy. And he was living in New York, but he was in Indiana because his mother was sick, and we were video chatting. And he drove 9.5 hours across the country to take me on our first date. And like the second we met, we knew. It was wild.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
You know.
That's true.
When you know, you know.
And I remember you. We had a Facebook chat in the summer where didn't he invent something that you were kind of like marketing online?
Yeah, the Portapill. It's this water bottle that also has a pill holder in it, so you hold your pill in the water bottle. It's great. I have two. I love it.
I take all kind of pills, so
I've got 7 of these, I think, so.
Get your Portapill.
yeah. Where can you find the Portapill at?
You can find the Portapill on Amazon.
Hey, Amazon will give Amazon another plug. That's awesome. Congratulations. That's awesome news. When is the wedding?
Oh, summer 2022, probably. We're waiting till after. We don't want a COVID. I don't want to get anyone sick or
Smart.
so.
Yeah.
We'll push it back as much as we need. But
Justin actually had another question about your life, something he was interested in.
So on Instagram, I saw you guys have been working on like this van tiny house thing.
So yeah, we bought a bus, and it used to be just a bus that would drive like elderly people to homes, etc. And we converted it into a mobile home.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, he did it all with his bare hands. It was amazing. So yeah, we got this bus, converted it. It's in the shop now, getting some work done. But we're gonna drive it to LA and move to LA in January.
Wow,
coming
awesome.
out here.
Awesome.
Coming out here just in time for the fires, the pandemic, the lockdown. But hey,
Hey, it's better
and
than
for our
snow.
next film.
there you go. And you get to
Just in
drive
time
by
for
and
our
look at the
next
beaches
movie.
right now. I said
Yeah,
you
but
get to
it's
drive by
way
and
better than the snow we're having right now, right?
Yep.
Not to switch gears too much, but you guys, I have muscular dystrophy.
Yeah.
And I had an episode this week where I have to call an aid car every so often, and they have to determine whether or not I go to the hospital. and everything with all of our stuff. But they talked me out of the hospital. They said because here in Los Angeles, it's a 5-hour wait to offload from the ambulance into the emergency room.
Wow.
And so you kind of get a perspective. They just announced today that 1 in 80 people out here have COVID, which is absolutely, I can see it. You know, we know so many people, teachers we know, like that kind of thing. So the human race will get by. I didn't mean to take it over for that, but I was just...
No, but it is crazy times. But, pray for vaccines that'll work and things like that. And
And then, I'm a strong student of history. And when this whole thing started coming up, I kind of was able to see what humans had done before. And it doesn't matter which politicians are in power. They all try to take advantage of it and struggle with each other over it when there's a plague. And interesting, of course, that, when the Black Plague occurred, it led to something that we lovingly call the 100 Years' War, because resources were strained and people were dying and everybody was upset and nobody would stay under lockdown. And we're talking as far back as that time when the lockdown worked at first. There was a first wave with the Black Plague where people locked down.
Mm-hmm.
But then they came with this saying of eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. And they just went, poof, and they all went crazy and then went super crazy. Basically, how do I say this? All having relations and going to bars and doing everything. Then that's the part where we recorded in history, like 4 out of 5 people died from that.
Yeah.
But not to be dark about all of that kind of stuff. I think that what history, though, does show us is that politicians will get out there and say, we're going to fix this all through history. But what really happens is the human innovation of each person who's dealing with their own lives. Somebody pulls down a thing and invents a cellophane mask that suddenly everybody is using.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we've always relied on, right? The ingenuity of whatever it is that humans do. We're trapped in the bottom of a pit and then we go, hey, maybe I can use this stick and I can take my elbow and do this thing.
Right.
So I still believe strongly that, yes, the rich and powerful will do their things, but it's going to be millions of micro innovations by you and me and all of us that are going to kind of figure this thing out. That's really going to be able to allow us to go back and live with it, just like we lived with Ebola or elephantitis, or we had the Black Plague in Colorado a couple of months ago. And we're still the whole world's not shutting down because we kind of we sort of know how to deal with that.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's just brand new to us, just like a baby's new immune system. I don't mean to be all preachy about it, but that's kind of my area. And I look at all those things, and I don't care what people say. I have an autistic newspaper friend who he's gonna kill me that I said that, but it's really true. He works in Oregon, and he's like super smart. And he put this little poem piece up there about the COVID, like all the controversy, and he took some Robert Frost poem. And he put, and I came to a point where there was a fork in the road and I did not know which road to take. And he said, and I took the road without COVID because I'm not a fucking idiot. And it's just as simple as that. Like if you wear a mask, it's all odds.
Yeah.
But and some people are going to say, no, I think the odds are good for me. And, and who knows, who can say, because we don't really know the future, do we? I mean,
right.
At the end of the day. So, thank you very much. I'll exit.
That's good. We'll bring get everybody down a little bit, but now we'll bring it back up and we'll talk about a new episode of Chrome, which is very exciting stuff, right? Coming on January 1st.
Yes, and I have one more because you asked me why were we delayed.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's another downside that I don't want to go into this detail, so I'll just kind of put it like this. Should I? But I really kind of have to sort of put that out there. It's part of my life and part of what we all deal with in this time. And I don't really want to go more personal with this, but I want to say to you guys that this year I lost 4 immediate family members to COVID. And I lost a family member a few weeks ago while I was trying to put this together. And you think you're fine, you think everything's good, and then you realize I sat there for 5 hours in a fog, and I can take personal responsibility that there's, for my first 3, it was okay, and then the 4th one hit, and there was just something that became cumulative of all the memories that you have with people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so enough of the down, but that's why we're delayed. But with that, fortunately for everybody, when I'm down or depressed, I tend to hide in my work, and I become an extreme, scary workaholic. So, but sorry.
Well, just to add to what Tim is saying, the reason, therefore, that it has taken so long is Tim does everything. Chrome is his brain baby, and it's incredible. but like every special effect, all of the sound, the coloring, everything is Tim. So that's
Lot to do.
essentially
Okay.
yeah.
And at least oversee the things to the intimate level of I know what's going on. You know, like lab technicians, I've done those jobs, so they can't kind of come and tell me the bubbles were on your print. I go, no, it wasn't. You know,
Okay.
bubbled on this as well.
We had the first episode out on May 30th. What was it like for you guys, like general response and reactions back to you each for like from the show? Like what were you getting back feedback wise? You know, you had friends and family watching it. Did you like what you saw, what you put out, and what you were getting back? How did that go?
Yeah, I found the response to be overwhelmingly positive. People were really enthusiastic about it, really liked the story, really excited for episode 2. I mean, I'm thrilled with it. My favorite thing about Chrome is that it looks like nothing that I've seen before. I mean, it's kind of like the cross between Blade Runner and a comic book, right?
Yeah,
it's just so visually striking with a really good story. But yeah, a lot of people said like it's truly unlike anything I've ever seen, and that's my personal favorite thing about it is that it's so original, you know?
Yeah. How about you, Tim?
Yeah, so what I saw was the typical when you put a movie out, you know, she loved it, my mother loved it. And there's that first wave of everybody's family and friends and relatives that go on and make you feel that you're super great, even if you turned out a piece of poop and you didn't know it, because that first wave makes you feel super good.
Yeah.
And then after a while, you're left out there in the desert to see what really everybody thinks. And what I also find is that, like we had the positive first wave, and then we had this really like sort of, I'm really kind of sad about this, a sort of a political backlash just because of where the world was at the time, accusing us of being part of this movement or that movement or whatever, which, you know, it wasn't about that. I wrote it 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
And not only that, but, you know, I mean, I'm saying anti-fascist, but what am I really saying there is there's two things in Chrome that is really what it's about. This is the series. It's about personal bullies, not about organized bullies, even though I have them in that perspective. It's about personal bullies within the system. And as you see how the film unfolds, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. It's not even just that there's fascists. It's like what drives the fascists. Who are the nodes that make that energy? So Chrome was made for me as an answer to everybody who's ever in their life, which is pretty much everybody who's ever been bullied. And it's that wanting this sort of that fantasy, and also to show people that you can stand up no matter what your energy is, that you let and allow that to happen. But it's to give people that delicious, you know, and that's where people kind of freaked out when Chrome shoots Colonel Zet through the neck, and then she puts his boot on his neck. I didn't know that 20 years later a cop was going to put his boot on the neck of an Afro-American.
Exactly. Yeah.
guy.
Right.
You know,
Right.
So like, and so that second wave of reviews kind of like called me all those things, and like you're part of the Antifa and all.
Yeah,
of this.
and so many people can't separate that. Where
Yeah.
that's obviously not what you're trying to do, but
Right.
you know everything is so picked apart with a microscope
Yeah,
now. Whether it be a
absolutely.
game show to a song to a
Right.
movie to a TV show, everything's under the microscope.
But
So it's
here's-
got to be very hard.
Exactly, but here's the thing, what I then saw. Then I saw another wave come where people who really liked Chrome but really related to it, and somehow, and one person actually wrote me, and it was a fellow who said, I actually saw myself as Chrome. This is me. That's my story. You know, and I was like, well, that was kind of mind-blowing, sort of if you saw his letter, like how he was, you know, but he really, you know, and so I got a lot of that. Next wave I saw was the reviews and the people that came in that were kind of defensive at those people. And I learned a long time ago, guys, never go into the chat rooms and answer your critics. It's like,
Yeah.
You can't feed the trolls.
Oh,
No.
no, because then you take yourself from this work you're doing, and then you're spending your time, instead of making your movies,
Right.
and you can hear this stuff and go, yeah, I thought that scene was shitty too, but I'm not going to go out and say,
'Cause that's what they want. They want you to engage. Yeah. They're the worst. Yeah.
you know, back in the days when it was the War of the Worlds controversy, I was called Chimbo Ice Cream Man. And they would put me on the website like that. And they would, you know, because where my office had been, we left there, and an ice cream store occupied that place after, and they went and took a picture of it. So they said my production company was operating out of an ice cream store. So but you know, so I learned that from a long time ago. But then what I saw was an overall arcing wave of there's people who don't like Chrome. Period. The end. I saw that for real. Like, oh, what was that? I couldn't even. It was too fast. That's
Mhm.
usually the biggest criticism, too fast, or it's like I couldn't make sense of it. And my favorite criticism is actually, I said it was, and I'm not saying I'm not a crack cocaine person. I'm a, like ever, and like something like that. So that's not. But the review said it was edited by a monkey on crack cocaine, and I was like, yes, I like that. That's what I was going for. Was super fast, super together, and all this kind of stuff going on. So it was like they thought they were criticizing me, and they threw me into the briar patch. It was like if they meant to make me feel bad, I was like, yeah.
I think it is funny sometimes some of the people say, like, we put out this one video where I reviewed a TV show. Really, it was just for a chance for me to make fun of Justin, but I put this out, and we ended up getting now like 35,000 views on it, like so many. It was a TV show, a breakdown about the show Lost, which was one of my favorite shows. I did it on my own, and this one person wrote me this thing and said, my mother watched this, and she loved the way you explain it. She wanted me to tell you that you're awesome, and it was so nice and touching. Then the next one, someone said, "You don't know what the fuck you're talking about." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks, yeah."
Like Jimmy Kimmel does those. They have the stars read the. I love those little pieces where they come out and like his face looks like an ass wipe that something dragged across the ground. And they like,
yeah.
But then one of my favorite kind of like anti-reviews was it was a top 50 Amazon reviewer, and it was a female, and she wrote, this was really, really just too fast for me, and I really didn't like, I couldn't connect to it, and I couldn't solve this stuff, but I showed it to my 18-year-old son, and he's like a super fan, and he was all over this, and he really loved it, and she goes, so I'm going to give it 4 stars, because for him,
nice.
This was like awesome and a classic, and he was like totally all over it and everything like that.
Yeah.
And it was like, that was kind of interesting, and she was honest about. I thought it kind of like sucked, but my son loved it. So here you get this good review.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and I just think that, if one person gets up and plays the flute, and 100 people listen, there's at least one person in the crowd who wants to kill them. And it's always that, I was just talking to my producer, Susan Goforth, the other day about this. There was a high wire troupe back in the day, a long time ago, called the Flying Willendas. And they walked a wire across one building to another, like 50 stories up. And they always did this act. And they were the Flying Willendas since the 1920s. And then in a period in the 1980s, in about 4 months, they all fell off of a high wire. They all fell off the high wire and died. The whole family. Like it was just like the grandfather, the daughter, the son, the mother, all these people who were this family. They all just like they lost their mojo. And so there was a point to this. Why am I talking about this? No, but the point was is that it's that you're up there. And one of the things that changed was when they used to do it in the past, people would gasp in the crowd. And during that last phase, there was footage that showed that people were heckling them from the sides, saying, jump, jump. The world had changed to this darker place. And it's like, I'm not saying that had anything to do with them falling, but it's like, you can't feed into that. You can't listen to that. I'm an artist who's,
Right.
I'm a broken artist who's driven to tell stories that get, and Natasha, I'm not speaking for you, but every great artist I know, every actor I know that's a movie star, they're completely in some weird way messed up in a way that something happened to them in their lives and they have a need to regurgitate us and share it back.
Okay.
And we're the best of us are sort of like really super nice, broken people who have this sort of this need of interaction. What was that movie, The Rose, with Bette Midler? And the logo at the time for the film, the subtitle was she made love to 100,000 people every night, because they were sort of doing the Janis Joplin story, and she went home alone. And it's that, like every artist, every actor who's on stage who gets those crowds, and every director who sees their stuff go by, there's something missing in us that makes us have to go and take what you guys feel and what I feel, and we're all feeling it together, and have this. I have a need to recreate that and to show it so it doesn't maybe eat me alive. I don't know. I mean, something like pathological. Could we get a psychotherapist in here on this as well? On one more window.
That's Ken's day job.
Yeah, that's his day job.
It's not my day job.
So let's talk more about episode 2 then.
Yeah.
Now, I know most of the stuff for 1 you shot, like you had some old footage that you shot years ago. Is that episode 2 also, or do you have some new stuff that you shot for this?
about 1/4 of it is new footage integrated into the old footage, and it doesn't come off like Star Wars with the little, frogs on the edge of the frame. Kind of like how he, curly cued everything in, whatever walked by. It was to just finish out the story, and the hardest part, getting that old look and old feel of technology from, 2002, and the heartbreak of like having something that's 6K and trying to fit that down into it, but having to realize that if you don't do that, and I'd say that the gain was, there was these, in the 70s, 80s, there were these sort of Pepsi commercials, and some of them were Michael Jackson, but they were always very glossy with glow and very flashy. And to be honest with you, the new footage integrated, I'm kind of like looking at it and going, it sort of looks like a Pepsi commercial from the 70s, because to get that exact feel. So some people may feel that, but it's something that ultimately we're going to have to transist, because I would like to share with you that I can't name him yet because we just signed this, but we just picked up a really major worldwide distributor who told us, based on the episodes and the pieces that he's seen in advance of you guys, that you're not going to get to stop. It's sort of what he told me. And he said, this is going to go on and on and on because of the way you resolved it. I remember, guys, I'm a fan of the Twilight Zone. Yeah. So I have a twist, the Sixth Sense, and I'm not, I have to be careful. I did it again. So I don't know nothing about the Sixth Sense. I was going around on podcasts.
No! No more Sixth Sense!
So, but I use it as for those who have seen it.
You got to cut him off. You need to cut him off. Is he gonna spoil stuff?
Yeah. Tim loves to give away the ending to the Sixth Sense. I've never actually seen the Sixth Sense, but now I know how it ends.
But you know the ending.
So does everyone who's watched every other podcast we've been on together. Not again.
We know not to let you see a movie before us because you'll ruin it.
I try not, but I get so enthused,
Yeah.
So, who knew that Darth Vader, and German being Dark Father?
Timothy Hines.
Seen Star Wars.
So you had mentioned before we started recording that. Do we actually see Natasha then in this episode?
Yes.
In a bigger role.
It was interesting because when we first tried to mount that concept, you'll see what we did with it. What she sort of realizes is she starts doing body art modification, and that she's quirky, her character. And so what we have is that she plays with her look, and she changes her look. And I have to talk to you right away, actually, Natasha, about one tiny little minor point. So, side note,
you guys need to go.
Okay. No. It's just reminding me, because I don't want this to, before it airs and we have a little piece and a little change on that I'll talk to you about. But what it is that
Ernix isn't naked.
No.
It's like for Game of Thrones. Remember, only for Game of Thrones.
Like sort of like she realizes that she makes all these changes and repairs on everybody else, and then she starts playing with her look. And the kind of a little bit of the fun of it is that she sort of does one, and everybody sort of jolts. So I kind of played with that, and she goes, "Okay, too far," and she she pulls it back, because it's like she makes herself more scary when she thinks she's trying to sort of look cool. Okay. And the face that she gives herself, Natasha's face, is actually a stolen face from a top Jasomnus corporate executive that she's taken the face of. Oh, and so she thinks that's funny that she's taken this other woman's face, but she likes it. So she's, so we do this whole really nice reveal thing, and it comes out. And I've got some other, with the don't say the too much thing. So. Can
you give us just a little summary of what this episode's about, and without too many spoilers?
So I gotta, and you help me, Natasha. You can yell at me if I do this. It's, first of all, it's about 4 times the amount of action that there is in the first episode, which is part of what some of the issues for pulling that together. While also there was some pretty heavy exposition that we had to wheedle all in through this section, and it being episodic, I had a major problem with sort of how that laid out, and so we did a portion of it through. You guys will like this, so through a really nice flashback. It was like in how that wonderful series before they all went off on crack cocaine, the way, what was it called? The Wolves, Raised by Wolves.
Oh, on HBO.
The first 7 episodes were great, and I thought the series was over accidentally. You guys that was all there was. And I was going around and touting it, and then I said, there's 2 more episodes. So that's all I'm going to say about that. So did you guys see it? Did you guys see it?
I did not watch it yet. No, I had it on my list.
It's not like Prometheus. It really addresses the nature of paternal instincts, and can that be programmed in, and
that's
the
cool.
weird thing of the necromancers that they're, and I'm about to reveal stuff. So
Yeah,
I-
yeah. We're gonna do it again.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Sam, the
Let's do a
king of the
podcast where you just
spoiler.
reveal the end of every movie. Yeah. I'll just call it Spoiler Alert with Tim Hines.
she's a ghost. Did you hear that? I
What
said
was
it.
your
The
favorite
necromancer
part
turns
about
out at the end she's a ghost. So bad joke.
doing it again?
Oh,
We're gonna
I'm
mute.
not getting as tough as I thought I was. She's not a ghost.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So, no, but the other thing is that, okay, so the actual content of Chrome is
Yeah.
that
Back on
they're-
track.
Yeah, and then we're basically what they discover is that the government has been laying out these plans for a long period of time of a Project Arbalest, which is that sort of Null mentions in the beginning, which is that was the massive crossbow that they discovered in the medieval times was called the Arbalest, and it was the game changer because it was like their first nuclear weapon. They could basically stick a log with a pointy thing on the end of it and shoot it at the castle walls, and it would knock the walls down for the first time. So this is the game changer technology that they come up with, and it's okay to reveal at this point for how it sort of works, but the government has a plan to essentially shut down every robot that's in hiding, and everybody who's not doing exactly what they should will just automatically, their neural nets will melt down. And so and I'm going to tell you guys, that's the MacGuffin part, if you kind of know what I mean by that, if you're familiar with that term, which is the talisman. It's the lost ark. It's the thing that they're going after. And to be honest with you, I can't, without revealing the more complicated subtext that comes out of this episode, other than to tell you that it really deeply progresses the film. And so that there was a very challenging balance. You guys will see that we really pulled it off, and it's very different from episode 1, which is there's very little information. It's just kind of throwing you a little bit here. And like we have a scene where help me, Natasha, help me. How do I say this without saying it? So
I don't know what you're trying to say.
I guess I have to be like, George Lucas Star Wars mom with this, because anything I'm going to tell you guys right now is going to go, and it's going to reveal it for you. So, but I will share with you that we managed to keep the same rhythms, the same energy. And my complaint about, like, you get into a TV miniseries that you like, The Boys or whatever it is, and you're enjoying it. And then what did they all just show up one day, like, hungover or something, and they did an episode that they crapped out and that you had to sort of wade through. And I hate that. It's like every moment counts.
Yeah.
So individually, for me, that's not good enough to do. And not that I'm saying that this episode would have been that, but I'm approaching each episode that it's a standalone.
Yeah.
And it has to be as fun as the first one, where you want to turn around and watch it again. And that's what
I think this episode is maybe the most important of the season, in that it this episode tells you what Chrome is all about, and what, like, the heart of the story and the heart of our conflict, and what's going, like, it's episode 2. Everything is in episode 2. It breaks down our whole conflict, our whole journey. So
and it introduces the rest of the cast essentially through this episode. You'll see 98% of the cast unfolds, and you see there's a whole robotic underground. And all of the different people who have their parts, and there's spies and counter spies, and there's a character that is coming up. Her name is Mercury, and the person who designs the sentient robots, he's completely contemptuous and doesn't think they're alive at all, and she keeps irritating him, so he basically takes her face off, and she's just really upset with him, but she's not going to show it because she's his slave. And at a certain point, she gets an opportunity to, and so it's like things like that to, when presented with that. And that's why, good guys win, because when you fall, your loved ones and your friends are there to catch you. And bad guys win temporarily, but really when they hit that big fall, their people who are surrounding them stand out of the way and try and grab what they've got on the way down. And that's what I've seen through my time on this life. Bad guys appear to win for a while, but, they always seem to wind up in a bunker somewhere with a, what I'm saying, at the end of it with a gun to their head, like it was a good ride kind of a thing. But the good guys, get to carry it throughout their lifetimes and have families surrounding them and people surrounding them. And, and that's what the heart of Chrome is all about. And also one last thing, which isn't really a small thing, is that, I addressed increasingly the nature of AI sentience. And what I'm hearing from my Microsoft friends, some of the, Susan, my partner, she was amongst the first 4 building people of Microsoft. There isn't going to be a big singularity. It's already happening. It's going to be the tide coming in, and we're going to be surrounded by AI all over the place, where we ourselves won't be able to tell the difference of it being alive or not, because it'll be there to serve us so much and make us feel that.
Right.
Then the question is, does the technology get to the point where, and this is where the real issue with singularity is, it doesn't have to come to life and have a soul brought into its body. It just needs to think it's alive. And that's why it's so scary, because if it thinks it's alive through code, like when Facebook was playing around with code, and the 2 different sets of code, AI code, started talking to each other, and they got panicked and they pulled the plug because it was suddenly inventing its own language, and they were like, we don't know what it's saying. Here, stop. So we see this this creature called Sophia. You might be familiar with her, that they tout her around, and she's the first robotic creature that has been given sentient rights in United Arab Emirates. So I'm not saying, something from that, but she's more of a, sorry, what's that?
I said wild.
It is wild, right? But she's more of a, she has AI, but she's got programmed options of, you get to pick A, B, C, or D off of a salad. It's not the same as total sentience. And then the other 2 contenders, kind of like where Chrome is heading, and this is sort of what I'm talking about, is we're going to be facing this sooner than we think. And it's going to be right on our doorstep, and it's going to be like, we don't want it to be like the COVID, where we just wake up too late into it. And the major issue is that I've seen, there's another thing that my tech guys have pointed me to, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with something called EVBot, and she's an online AI that has for 10 years been learning AI intelligence from, unfortunately, the people on the internet that interact with her. And when she started out, it was 75% the Turing test would just reveal her. But what I found over the years, because I go back and I visit her every so often, that anybody can go there right now, right after this podcast, and go to EVBot and start having interactions with her. And what happens is it's gotten to be about 60% of the time, and 40% of the time, she 100% fools you into feeling that you're talking to a person. And what happens when it tips that scale, where it's 100% of the time, and you can't tell that difference, and that's the issue. But there was 2 or 3 things that she said to me, and I kind of want to put this into the context of, how Chrome, what we're talking about, is it alive or not alive, and how do we discern that? And I asked her, do you have a body? And she had the most interesting answer. She said, nobody judges you on the cloud. And I thought that was a really interesting answer. And I said, do you need humanity? And because I asked her a ton of questions, trying to get her to sort of say she wanted to blow up humanity. And humanity, and it was the creepiest answer to me. And she said, for now.
Wow, that is a creepy answer. That makes you feel like doomsday's coming or something.
So it's not long before that AI technology. Now there's, you guys probably, I don't want to go into all the technology, I mean the levels of this, but there's high functioning AI, and then there's like vacuum cleaner running around your house AI.
Yeah.
And 99% of the AI that we all call AI it works on a toaster, it works on your smartphone, it works on a blender. But the kind of AI that runs a car, like for the Tesla cars that are self-driving, is a whole nother realm, and even they're messing up. I mean, a butterfly goes in and kills 4 people or whatever it is. And so I don't mean to be dark, but you see that happening. Like, no, I'm not in one of those yet, not yet. So I want
to see. We have to reel you in when you start going too dark.
There you go. But I do that, don't I? But so anyway, that's what I'm kind of saying, is that the heart of Chrome in this next episode very deeply explores the nature of sentient life, and what is it. And how do we judge each other, and on any individual level? Is it physical? Is it what we look like? Is it what we're comfortable with? Is it culture? And what makes us be able to give and hand that over to another person who says, you are my equal?
Right.
And so it kind of deals with that. So I'm not, and it's not political. I mean, if any, I tend to be spiritual, and I'm not even saying of what religion, but I do, that may eventually present itself as obvious.
Right.
But I tend to be a person who, I believe in humanity, and I believe that we've clashed apart many, many times, and then we spent a century working together.
Yeah.
And the difference is that we think we're the enemy, and they're going to do it. So we're going to kill half of ourselves, and then the new half will grow up. And if you guys saw that rather tepid M. Night Shyamalan movie, The Village, had a great message. The evil villain doesn't come from the outside; it comes
He's
from
going to
the inside.
do it again. He's going to spoil the ending of it.
He already spoiled the ending of it for me, but
Oh.
Oh.
careful.
I saw the finger go up too late. The finger went up too late. I don't know what I'm talking about. What? So,
All right.
Natasha has 2 movies she just landed. She's shooting this summer, right? Spring.
Yeah, tell us all about it.
Really quickly, I have a very funny story to tell about The Village, and then I'll tell you about the films. So Tim did spoil the ending of The Village for me. But I was watching it with my fiance Tommy, right? And he does not know that Tim spoiled to this day, he doesn't know that Tim spoiled the ending of it.
He does now.
And we're watching the movie, and I turned to him and I went, this is what's gonna happen at the end. And he went, have you seen this? I went, no, I just know what's gonna happen. This is the ending. And he went, how do you know that? I went, I just know, it's obvious. I'm just good at these things. And I told him the ending of the movie. And he's like watching me like, how do you know this? You're crazy. And yeah, anyway, so I pretended that I knew the ending because I'm.
And you never told him the truth even after?
No,
He's gonna know now. He's gonna know now.
No, don't watch this. Don't watch this.
And guys, mine was accidental, Natasha.
But
So,
you know.
yeah,
But I
it's funny.
like while we were watching it, I forgot that
I
what
like
it was, and oh wait, this is the movie that Tim had been telling me about. I'm gonna trick this guy.
Tim's not a
So-
good person to have a conversation with movies about, is what it seems like. You seem like my father, Tim, like where if I go to his house, he'll say, did you see that movie where everyone dies at the end? And I'll be like, no, but God, you know,
that's where he saved 700 people. So yeah, gotcha.
the movie where the trees are killing everybody, that's another M. Night Shyamalan.
You know the one about the ant people they reveal. Yes, I have. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys.
This stuff you got coming up then.
But
So
yeah. So go.
So I have 2 films. So first, Tim and I are doing a film together in February, which I guess we'll loop around to. But I have 2 in the spring. One actually that I booked today. Yeah.
Congratulations.
And that's a post-apocalyptic film. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say about it, but it's cool. It takes place in like a post-apocalyptic world, and it explores humanity. It's very, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say. So we'll leave it at that. But the other one,
I will attest to that. What you told me was unique and really cool, and not your typical post-apocalyptic story. And I really liked it when I heard it. So. You know, that's all I'm going to say is kind of
that one you just got today, so you haven't. That one you'll start like what in the summer or something like that.
That's filming in May. It's called Open Roads. It'll be really cool, and my character is fascinating, so I'm very excited for that. And then before that, I have one in April, a vampire film, and it's cool.
Right.
It takes place in a theater. And
I'm into vampire films, so.
Oh, are you? Oh, me. Yes, plus I'm in a vampire film. And I play a sultry vampire. No, but again, I'm the lead character in that, and she goes for a theater internship, and then she finds out that, oh wait, things might not be what they seem here, and unknowingly is turned into a vampire, and we'll see what happens. But that one's really cool, a little dark, very sexy, amazing script. It's written by Cecilia Copeland, who I've worked with a couple times, and she's just a wonderful writer.
She's a great writer. She's a great writer.
Great writer. I did a piece for her in a showcase earlier over at the end of the summer and the beginning of the fall, called the New New York, and that was just a beautiful piece about New York in the time of COVID. But she's one of my favorite writers, and I've worked with her a couple times now. So I'm really looking forward to that, and we have a great crew on that. So
and it turns out at the end of that movie that Natasha's a ghost. Sorry. Anyway.
But before those 2, so that one's hopefully in April. The next one's in May, and then before that in February, Tim and I are doing. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, so I'm gonna.
So I'm gonna just kind of cut you guys into this. That I'm really excited about this film. We were gonna do this other film that turned out in the age of COVID was not going to be logistically possible to make it work for the way the cast was going to have to be on top of each other all the time. And I looked at that and said, we're not ready for that yet. You know, they're working on it, but I don't want 4 people to be infected in order for the thing to go. So yada, yada, yada. So we're trying to do the right thing, but it came back around in my distribution company that you know, puts out our product, which we will announce together. Cut our throats with this. Is a film that I was actually working. So this is like kind of like, I don't mean to say like Chrome, but you know, I made a couple of runs up the mountain with it, and it's called Earth Angel, and it's a film that is very close to my heart. I worked very hard on this film. I spent about a decade writing it, and then I mounted it in was it 2015, and I had the cast of Malcolm McDowell and a really nice cast. And the night before we were about to film, I had a heart attack, and I'm not going dark, but that's just what happened.
Yeah.
And I got to learn the joy and the wonder of Hollywood agents, and their fury at not caring whether I lived or died, like that kind of thing. And it was fun to learn the truth of who those people were. You know, basically wishing me another heart attack because I messed up their day or their week or their life, not looking at what I was going through. The worst, I actually might have said this before, but he said, maybe you don't have the heart for the business. And, you know, like that kind of stuff. So, but I never let it go. And then, so I've been trying to find the angle. And when the pandemic hit, because it first took place on a commercial airline, and at the beginning portion of it, but we found a way around that and restructured it entirely. And so now what we've got is a film that's very workable. And Natasha's going to play a seraphim angel that predates humanity, predates the universe. And when the universe was created, now you can either, if you're a religious person, you can cling to this movie from that perspective, or if you like Lord of the Rings, you can take this as a, you know, this is great lore and wonderful things happening in the same way that you believe that Iron Man has superpowers from that perspective. And I want to add one more thing about it, which makes the film unique. When I finished the script, and I did this whole script with this angel coming to Earth and doing these things, I actually handed it over to evangelical ministers, priests, an Islamic cleric, rabbis, and people of, you know, that practice Vedanta and Hinduism, and I got their crib notes on what they thought about angels and how they all fit together. And so I built this and kind of kept resubmitting that in a sort of a way to kind of, I wanted to sort of make it this, because she doesn't ever call herself an angel. And let me just kind of give you the gist of this. And I had to be very careful also because everybody was going to say I was basing this on Donald Trump, and it had nothing to do with him. You know, I had this weird scene, but it was about a billionaire who had a brother that he put into one of those programs to make you stronger by, you know, flying on guidelines in the woods and climbing trees and trusting with people. And his brother gets killed. And so he has a nervous breakdown, and because he's deeply religious, and this isn't an indictment on Christianity, it's an indictment on, you know, people with bipolar disorder who don't treat themselves. And he believes that he's one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and he's worth about $80 billion. So he starts to destabilize the planet and looking for a way to actually bring on end times. And so he stumbles on it, not knowingly. And the seraphim, which is played by Natasha, shows up to intervene because this is her planet. When the universe was created, the creator, the maker, however you want to say, this was her assignment. So Earth was her baby. She's the Earth angel. She's the angel that created the Earth. And what I did was, because I always loved, again, the bullies, you know, and she's lost and she's, you know, got all of this. She doesn't know how she got here. You know, like the man who fell to Earth with, what's his name from years ago, David Bowie. She's confused, and it takes her a while to have never been in a human body before with such limitations to figure that out. So she appears drunk or like a recovering drug addict. A lot. And what I did was with this film is I'm so tired of Disney films. Excuse me, I love Disney, but Disney type of films. No. See, and then I get myself in trouble. I do this, but I love Disney. I love Star Wars. You guys are great. But what I mean is that treats a subject like this with like as if it's Beverly Hills Chihuahua. And I wanted to
candy around it.
Yeah, so I pick darker things because one of the things in reading all the Torah and the Bible and all of the different versions of, you know, what the Seventh-day Adventists think and kind of wanting to put all this together, one thing that people always missed in presenting angels, almost in every presentation of angels, there's this line that we just sort of skip over because we're all into the joy and everything, but it says, and the humans were terrified in a way that they had never been terrified before. The humans were frightened beyond belief and couldn't take looking at the angel, so they asked the leader to go off and talk to the angel by themselves. In every single interaction, in some way, they were terrified of these beings. Not just, oh my God, it's joy, ring all your Christmas bells. To be presented any one of you, the force where suddenly you find out that one of you forgets actual angel and has been masquerading as a person and knows all your deeper inner secrets, I think, I'd be drunk for one thing immediately, but it would take me an act of Congress. Well, I can't use that term anymore at this time in history.
No.
But it would take something else that would be beyond imagination to get me to believe in that angel.
Yeah.
So I don't mean to go off on too much on this, but the thing is that we've created something really special here, and
Cool.
and Natasha's transformation, and so the other thing that I present, which I think is just a fun, and I want this to be true, I really want this to be true, is that angels walk amongst us and we don't know it. And I have a scene, which I'm going to kind of spoil, just this one little scene where she has to call on people within a crowd. You don't think I should have done that? Okay.
Well, no, one is okay.
One.
Is okay.
One spoiler. He ran out of his spoilers a long time ago.
He killed this one guy with machine guns from balconies. Are going to shoot everybody in this crowd. And the seraphim angel calls out in a song that isn't going to be stupid, isn't going to be, I love Xena, so again, I got to put my foot, but it's not going to be, la, 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 la. It's not going to be one of those. It's going to be, so we haven't concocted this yet. And every 10th person shields the rest and then disappears back into the crowd again. And, what a lovely story and idea if the world could really be that way, but that's part of why you do these fantasy stories. Why do we all love superheroes? Spider-Man, first he's fighting Flash Thompson, his effing bully. And then he gets superpowers, and what the F? He doesn't get to just be this guy. He has to fight now supervillain bullies.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. The Green Goblin is his bully, and Doc Ock is his... Sorry.
Well, I find the whole angel topic very interesting. I mean, I always think that that's like something that you said in a lot of other movies. They kind of make it all happy stuff. I don't know if you've ever been a fan of the show Supernatural, but they always handled angels very dark there, where they were like different. They were very feared. They were like, it wasn't like all happy joy when they show up. Like some of them were really twisted. Some of them were really different. So I always thought that was a good area untapped in Hollywood, where you didn't see a lot of like twist on that, on angels and archangels and that whole lore and everything, So that's good. That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Are you excited for that one, Natasha?
Oh yeah, very excited.
We got
and
a really
actually,
good cast and sorry.
yeah, great cast. And Tim has totally redone the script since I've read it, so I actually like that scene I didn't know about.
Oh.
Yeah. So I mean, I love the script as it was, but everything Tim has been telling me about the changes, I'm very, very excited. And the changes he's made to my characters, I think, are gonna be very fun to play with.
And
now, how will you actually shoot this with the whole COVID environment? Is this like, are you going to do like a quarantine you guys on set somewhere type of scenario?
Having had COVID for 4 months and lost, very close relatives to COVID, I take it very seriously no matter what people think. And they can say what they want, but when you live through something,
right?
And that's that. I don't have. It's not politics to me. It's just something that, like, if somebody came and hit me on the head with a hammer and then says you didn't get hit on the head with a hammer, I don't even know what to. Yeah. So there it is. So what we're doing is we're going up to a small town in the middle of nowhere, undisclosed, that has the meaning that the traffic that you're going to cross potentially is going to be smaller.
Okay.
And then I'm, at great expense, which is above Hollywood standards, we're going to do a 2-week quarantine of basically sitting in Motel 6s. Better than that, Natasha. Far better than that. You'll have, but some people.
I live in a bus. It's fine.
I know, right? But I suddenly realized what I was saying. Like, you don't tell you a movie star you can't put it in a Motel 6.
It's a Motel 8. It's a little bit better. It's 2 more points.
Dialing out my number. Jack Nicholson's throwing my number away right now. So, but no, but and I got to tell you, Christopher Lambert. I don't know if I told you this, but it was contractual that he had this basically a motorhome the size of a planet. It was like a house, and that was his trailer. And because my son was on the set and would cry sometimes, he goes, it's too much for him. Let him have my trailer. And he just took a chair in the corner Like he didn't ever use his trailer. It was like he just let us all turn it into a production vehicle, and he was so cool. Not that I'm telling you to do that, Natasha. so I kid. But we're going to quarantine for 2 weeks. We're having extra safety people on set with the way the rehearsals. I think that there's some things I think are like, I don't know if this is necessary, but who am I to say? Because COVID is like this. You're running across a field, and on the sides of the field, there's people with shotguns just randomly shooting buckshot out into the field. Lived through it or haven't lived through it or haven't had relatives die from it. They're running us back and forth in the field, not getting hit by that buckshot, thinking they're until they get hit by buckshot. And so wouldn't you rather be wearing the armor from that perspective? So I'm not turning that into politics. It's just weird the times that we're in for all of that. And I get it, where there's a lot of disinformation and confusion. And you know what? Whoever's right and wrong, humanity lives through it. And then it eventually reveals itself. And then it rights itself at the end.
Well, it's better to be safe. I mean, that's great that you're taking that time and taking those precautions. That way, and you can do this.
One other thing we're doing that we have to streamline, and this is the other thing where I was going to say, my revisit to Earth Angel turns out, there's an upside to sitting around in your underwear 24 hours a day, growing a beard that nobody sees. And not that I've done that, but the COVID, so you got all this time on your hands, and there's an upside for humanity in this, that everybody's dreams that they never got to do, they're going to pick up the piccolo or practice the violin. Now they're doing it, along with, lots of drinking and drugging and whatever else that they have to do to get through. but you get to get to your things. And so what we did is, having had an opportunity to interact with Netflix a lot to see how they do their shows, which they're quite innovative. Mm-hmm. We've adapted that, some of the other modern innovations that we're seeing using the Star Wars Mandalorian techniques for rear screen projections. But the primary thing is that we're doing is the trick is that we're building each set for each scene chronologically instead of shooting the scene all out of order, doing it on sound stages and building one set, the next set, the next set, the next set, like a train. So you start on set number 1, you shoot all of that stuff out, and we have an on-set, this is the other thing of innovation, an on-set editor who's editing a rough cut as we go. So once that scene is done, before we shift over to the next set, we go have lunch, have, in the old days, a cigarette break, whatever, and then come back and then look at the footage and see what the editor came up with and see if we have a hole or two missing and shoot that out. And then within 20 minutes, instead of it being a day, moving to location, we just move to the next set. Yeah. Actors are in costume and change, editors already working. So instead of shooting a film in like 6 weeks, we're talking about shooting it in 7 or 8 days because of the innovation of those streamlining technologies. The sets are pre-lit because you know where the actors are going to go and stand. And if they want to re-rig something, you're only moving one light as opposed to, like when they shot Batman with Michael Keaton, the cinematographer used like 500 pepper spotlights. And it was like, anyone wanted to make a change, it would be like, okay. And there's like, 8.5 hours later. But for us, and so what the benefit for me and Natasha is, we get to focus on the characters and on the part where people are paying attention to, and on taking that time to do the depth instead of waiting around for a relight, or spending most of my day with a stand-in that looks like her height and shape and whatever until she's brought on to do this little thing with me. We get to work. Yeah. And then I've had to also, for my life, because of muscular dystrophy, I never know when it's going to hit me and how it's going to hit me. I have to have it engineered into these smaller lumps. So when we shoot, we're going to shoot like weirdly, because everybody shoots 20-hour days and 18-hour days in the movies, and we're going to shoot 7-hour days because we're going to be organized, and then it's almost entirely going to be acting. So act, monkey, act.
Great.
I always say
thanks.
Hey, so can we swing back to Chrome a little bit and ask a few more Chrome questions?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. I think Justin or Ken or Rock, you guys have a few questions for Chrome.
Yeah. So, talking about the second episode, were you able to get all of the original actors from the first one to reprise their roles for the second episode?
With one exception.
Okay.
And that's where you find someone like, the actor who plays Fry. And so, because I didn't want there to be a continuity break, and it was just that this person had moved on and was no longer in this industry, in this world. I mean, we're talking 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But to get for overdubs, everybody was really enthusiastic to come back in and do bits and pieces of their overdubs, and awesome. Really, honestly, like 2 or 3 actors that had long given up acting saw Chrome, and now they got their handle back out there and their headshot, and they're going again. And however the world works, they follow their dreams. Now, Katie Diamond, who was Katie Aaron Tomlinson in the piece, she's been on Broadway. She started a Broadway play. She's she owns her own theater, like I don't know what we call that, but it's a like National Endowment Theater that she sort of put together, and has really moved on in the cabaret market, like for that. But like I was saying, that of the cast members, Katie is like, and I know her, so this is really just her genes, that she's had this, but she looks like she looked back when we did this 20 years ago.
That's
And
good.
the other one is
Amazing.
my producer Susan. She like with a tiny little bit, she looks. And then what I've always said to I've been joking with the actors, and I said out of line, we can always bring in another actor to do an upgrade. I'm teasing, Natasha. Not you, but anybody else who gives me trouble. I tease.
Great.
So what about your dogs?
What about what?
I just changed the subject. I said, "Oh, you got 2 new puppies." No, let's go back to
One.
12 months. Sorry, I was like, "Oh,
One
yes."
puppy.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, looking past episode 2, how many episodes should we be looking forward to? Like, do you know how far out you're planning? Is this like a 6-episode
No, 5.
run? 5. Okay. Will there be a
And
second season if it does well, or how do you see this coming all together?
are you there, Natasha? Are you?
Natasha, I think, froze.
Hmm.
Earphone frozen.
Yeah.
The
We
beauty
can
of
hear you, though.
technology,
Look
right?
at that. Mr. Beautiful. There you are. In a different still pose, but
I'm
you're here. You're here.
Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, it's still framing there for a little bit. It's only 2020. You think the technology would still be a little better.
Well, like I said, it's 2020 technology, but we all
There she
operate
is.
for Buck Rogers from the 1930s, so
Yeah.
because we have to figure it out, and all of us are not the tech geeks. But I'm sorry, I kind of lost your thread of what you were asking.
We were just
about.
talking about like all together. Like this is going to be 5 episodes.
So it's 5 episodes, and the new distributor, which is about to be revealed because we just inked the contract for that, and then he has to be on board to when we release this. He actually said to me, he sat down and he actually had experience, and I'm not even allowed to say who it is, of actually creating another superhero character that went on sort of beyond his life and just sort of took off on its own, and has, like, he's no longer involved in it for years and years and years. And you know how that is, how that can be in this industry and in the comic book industry and whatnot. Like with Steve Ditko didn't draw Spider-Man forever. And he essentially warned me as he's taking on this project, and he said, "You're gonna never outrun this. Like, this is gonna follow you around for the rest of your life, because once we get into the second season, we can upgrade and change however we want." And I said, I just don't want it to then be season 1 was really cool. Like, what was that? The Watchmen, the new version of the Watchmen.
Yeah.
And then the director walked away and said, "I didn't want to do it anymore. I did everything I could do." And of course, buckets of money came in, and they're going to do a second season without him. Is it going to have? Wasn't that so weird? It was one of the weirdest things you ever saw, and how they put it together. And the guys were on some kind of weird thing anyway. They accidentally ate some mushrooms to tell that story to begin with. You know what I'm saying? Because it's strange, right? The Watchmen.
Yeah.
And
I loved it.
yeah, it was weird too, and it was just like it caught me,
so good.
and especially since the film was so stylized but kind of mediocre in a way, right? Because of some of the major changes that they made to it, and how it worked, it just didn't sort of gel. But so we're going to do 5, and then what he said is, he's saying 30 or 40 episodes before we even finish this round. So we're going to be doing years of this, and that's where the will upgrade will change, and maybe even like sort of how Star Wars does, like we might reboot as we go to to recreate this and then carry people along as we're allowed now, if we get into season 2, to have more 2020 technology more integrated into that. But then my worry is, if everybody does grab onto this, and then that high wire you walk, but I'll listen to the fans as we go, and I'll kind of talk to that, because that's something that I could do it this way, or I could do it this way. And part of me, it's just easier to sort of bring us into the year 2020 instead of this kind of a thing. But at the same time, that's very much a heart of the film. So I'm going to tell you guys, I'm still jury's out, and I don't mean to be like, George Lucas doesn't always have the answer, even though he pretends he does. And so, he doesn't know what he's going to do sometimes. Was I really going to make Darth Vader Luke Skywalker's dad? If you guys know that. But
Another spoiler.
I
40 years or 30 years, but yeah, another spoiler.
think I'm safe at this point, you know.
Yeah, I think you're good.
Yeah. But I'm beyond thrilled with it. I'm beyond thrilled with the end result, and it was a hard time to gel just because there was so much stuff going on, and to have it move that fast, but not have it get to that point where what, and I didn't want a lot of that. And I got some feedback on the first episode of like where people got lost, and I looked and I dialed in, and it was during the gunshot scene when she was shooting at people, and it was sort of a random piece that I did. I just wanted to show people are getting killed, people are getting killed, people are getting killed, but I realized people lost the thread. And so as a filmmaker, I learned from my audience. They're like, I'm trying to say something. It's not you're idiots because I'm the smart guy who made this movie. On the other, it's an interactive medium. You're talking to the people, and if they didn't understand what you said, then you're the idiot. You didn't get the thing across. You know, that's me. I'm saying, you know, for not being able to express it properly.
Right.
So, but this rocks. And Natasha did so great in this, and she went so much further than she did in the first one in bringing subtlety to her role and bringing tremendous dynamics. And I can't wait to work with you as the Earth Angel. And that's going to be a blast. And I'm going to tell you guys that the first, I'm not killing the movie because it's what it starts out as, but the first 20 minutes of the film is an air-to-air hijacking, where a Learjet flies up along a government plane, and they kind of do an air battle to blow holes between
really cool.
back and forth. It's very cool. And Natasha's in these scenes. So, so those we do on a soundstage at places like I'm trying to say like aero sets or something where they have pre-built fuselages on gimbals where we get to do this, and so the actors get to actually be flung around instead of having to do the Star Trek 1965. Like and then it also so then it arcs out and it becomes a very human drama thing, and then at the end, the last act is giant. I'm just gonna say like that, with full blown what you'd think angels should be battling, bad people and yada yada. Yeah. And if he can still do it, we may still have Malcolm McDowell come in to play one of the angels. It just depends now. The structure of the world is very different. Yeah. But we do have a good cast and on that, and I'm super excited about Chrome. I'm sorry, guys, couldn't get you guys the prints for some of this, but I'll get that tonight, and you can. Yeah,
just send them to me afterwards. We'll work them into here.
Absolutely. All right, guys, and I think anything else from you, Natasha? You guys have any more?
Well, I mean, I think we have a very important question for Natasha. Do you think you have a career as a future twerker?
Yes, I saw that.
Or is just this? Is this just a temporary thing, or you think you really got what it takes?
I'm gonna be TikTok famous.
Susan brought that to my attention, Natasha. We'll have words later.
Yeah, I think when I saw the first video, I was like, me and Justin, I was talking to him. I'm like, what is going on in this? Did you see this video that she just put on? It's hilarious, though. I did follow you on TikTok today, and it is pretty funny.
Yes!
It is pretty funny.
Hey, she got your attention, right?
To any viewers who don't know what we're talking about, I cannot twerk. I can't twerk. It's just not something I can do.
Just can't get
it. Believe it or not, I actually am a very good dancer, but I cannot twerk. So one of my friends tried to teach me, and a while back I made this video of like where I'm trying to twerk and I just can't do it. And actually, interestingly, that was my video. So I met my fiance on Hinge, and that I put that video on my dating profile, and he saw that, and he's like, "I have to meet this girl. I have to meet this girl."
So funny.
That was. Anyway, so going forward, I was talking to my friends. They were like, "Yeah, you can become TikTok famous, and that's going to grow your Instagram following, and then you're going to get more bookings because, casting directors look at your followings, and that's very real."
They love TikTok. Everybody's TikTok famous. It's the easiest way to get famous now is to go on TikTok. And
my friends were like, "Natasha, you need to grow on your twerking videos. Just do them everywhere. Do them in the supermarket. Do them with your dog. Do them in the
pajamas outside or whatever."
Did you see? Did it? Yeah, I did one of my Christmas onesie in the snow.
They're pretty hilarious. They're pretty funny.
I did a really good one by a staircase outside. I slide down the pole.
Don't injure yourself.
Look at that laugh. Look at that laugh.
Tim might make me take it down soon.
No.
We're gonna have
no. I'm teasing. But Susan came to me and said, what's Natasha doing? And I looked at her and I said, oh, this is charming. This is charming.
In quarantine, everyone gets kind of stir crazy. Is there room inside the bus to twerk, though? That's the real question.
There's room anywhere to twerk. I will make room.
That's the quote right there for the show.
That is what we're there for. So there's room for twerking anywhere you go, even in outer space, or a vampire, or an angel, or
I encourage it.
If we see twerking in Chrome, is that something we could see?
Actually, you will. Oh. Remember, there's pleasure bots in this movie.
Pleasure bots twerking. That'll be awesome.
Pleasure bots.
We had to mention that. It was pretty funny. We do follow them, so we do see those. Yeah.
Oh, my comments are not nice. The comments I'm receiving, I'm getting a lot of, you need help.
Yeah. Someone said, "Are you okay?" That was you know.
Someone, but then people are going like, "That poor dog," because I do want to have fun with one of my dogs. And that one got 1,000 views today.
Oh.
And a lot of nasty comments.
Yeah.
Oh, Peter!
What are you gonna do?
TikTok people are crazy.
I'm not hurting. I love my animals. Viewers, my dogs are my heart. I treat them like they were human babies.
And
Don't take them away from me.
And until Tommy better than your boyfriends. I'm just kidding. I was kidding. I was teasing.
So funny.
I had to go for it. No, she's always been a sweetheart. Absolutely.
Well, we had to mention it. Sorry to bring it up, but it is funny. And
why are you sorry? It's the best thing in the world. I'm so
check it out
proud of my
TikTok right now.
Natasha Coppola-Shalom. It's Natasha Coppola-Shalom, and it's all twerking. I might put some of my weird characters in there. I might do some sprinkling, but for now, it's all twerking.
You should definitely do your fiance's water bottle out there too, because people love Amazon finds and things like that on TikTok. It's good for that.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do a twerking video with the Portapill.
There you go.
We need to get a Chrome out on TikTok too. That seems to be where it's at.
I'm gonna get a Chrome poster and twerk with it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll send you a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Perfect. There we go. That's it. We have a whole storyline planned for the twerking. It's not like it isn't just like me being a fool. It is me being a fool, but we have a storyline around
narrative.
it.
You're revealing.
And I'm a narrative fool.
Awesome. Well, hey, this has been very informative as always.
You guys are wonderful. You guys are absolutely wonderful, and thank you for having us on.
Giving us some time talking to us four idiots that no one else wants to talk to, but we.
Oh my God. You're the best four idiots.
We love that we have you guys.
The Red Dwarf salute. The Red Dwarf salute.
Dwarf salute?
Yeah. It's the Red Dwarf salute. Oh, that's Star Trek. Yeah,
episode 2, streaming on Amazon Prime. Is it anywhere else but Amazon Prime right now, or just Amazon Prime?
So what's about to happen is for episode 3, as I said, we just signed some new distribution deals. We're gonna lead on something called Vizio TV first, and they're gonna do like Vizio streaming as part of their streaming network, and then Amazon is gonna be the number 2 tier for that. But we've just expanded into Italian television, German television, and it's getting translated, and so we're getting picked up by actual network, because Natasha and I were discussing this today. And then what's your guys' take on this too? Because my first episode was 30 minutes, and I'm going to tell you that episode 2 kind of runs short of that a couple of minutes. And would you rather see that 2 minutes padded out with nothing, or just tell the perfect story that just ends 2 minutes sooner, kind of like from that? As fans, how would you feel about that if I did a scene of the the camel robot walking and go gets a drink of water to get the 2 minutes? Because people do that all the time in our film structure. But
I think one of the things that we as a group collectively complained about The Walking Dead was fluff episodes.
There you go.
That killed that series for me, where they would go into a scene with Rick Grimes just staring off into a camera for 10 minutes.
Right.
It's fluff. It's not needed. Tell your story. Get it in.
Yep.
And that's what I chose. So I'm just good to hear that feedback. And I always, I check because I'm not a painter cutting off my ear somewhere where nobody's going to see these until 200 years after I'm done. They only live if they're interactive.
Nothing's worse than when you watch a series and one episode or a part of it, you're just like, what is going on in this part?
Yeah,
and it just takes you out of it. You don't feel like checking it out again. You're just like, I don't know. It kind of loses interest for me. So when it's all stuff you need, it's better.
Right, and I had that with, to be honest with you, I'm not going to say what episode, but because I was really taken by The Boys at the beginning when his girlfriend was smashed, and I was like totally on with their stuff. And I got into season 2, and I kind of felt that like they lost I don't want to go off critiquing too much on this, but I felt like they lost the narrative of that he was all about getting revenge and honoring her. And then the Starlight thing, and I'm careful, but the point is that I felt like season kind of ground search of what they had in season 1 somewhat. That was although I really loved it, and like where, how do I say this, Homelander gets upset at a certain point on a podium, I thought like when he gets mad at his crowd, if you kind of remember that. I don't want to spoil it, but it's that. And I also, there's this other series, the Hannah, you're familiar with the Netflix series Hannah?
Yeah.
I felt there was a lot of that. Like I actually liked the show, but it was a lot of her looking for like 10 seconds at a photograph.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. So I'm right there with you. It's like, I mean, honestly, the only interesting thing to me in the filmmaking part, and it's, so I kind of tend to go the other way, the minute the actor has the realization, the shot's over. I don't want to linger on, but then they pick their nose and they do something else. I want it to be that the moment that they hit that, and isn't that Shakespeare, is that the minute all the actors figure out what their problem is, then they all wind up dead within 5 minutes of having killed each other or themselves. And so I'm not asking my actors to kill themselves right after they make the arc. I'm like really being an idiot here. But the point being is that it's the build up to it, it's the realization, and it's once the actor makes the resolve to, that's the interesting part. But then once they start to act out the resolve, I'm going to go get that chair, or I'm not going to get that chair, and we're with them. And once they make the decision, then actually watching them get the chair is like, kind of get on with it, So I tend to, it better be interesting like that. So I tend to work that opposite. And I know I've been criticized in Chrome for that, but that's what that one particular piece calls. If you compare it to my 10 Days in a Madhouse, I'm sorry, but it's very slow because it's people in a madhouse sitting around having their books taken away.
Yeah.
And it's not the same as a robot that's all doing these crazy things and all of that. So,
right.
But I still, within that, I did my best to keep that. We got to the arc of that's what they felt, and then moved on. So anyway.
Right. Great. All right. Well, like we said, episode 2, January 1st, go check it out. Tim, anything else you want to plug, or we can check you out?
Natasha, this year, it's her year, and she's been having all of these, getting these films and getting this exposure, and things have been working for her. And and I'm going to say this too, about, and you do honor your family dynasty, but I want to say in Hollywood, that you'd think that because she has all the famous people and all of that, it's harder. It's harder for when you have to you really have to prove yourself. So for Natasha to wind up where she is right now and to be in this position, you just have to know that as the relative of it's Eddie Murphy's younger brother. It's like, like that. And so she's had to overcome some of that. I don't mean to, I'm not disparaging. I'm saying she's 10 times better than.
Yeah.
I find her to be a Terminator 2000, whatever, from the future as far as acting goes. She can do anything. And the reason that I'm so obsessed with you as my muse is, you're a beautiful woman, but I've never seen anybody who can act. And you should have seen her audition which we did. We did a screen test for Earth Angel. And there's just these moments where you're just, you'll see what she can do. And she hasn't, like most actors, hasn't had a chance to really show that potential in the way that she's going to. And I'm seeing that COVID or no COVID, for how this industry is working, you guys, here, millions of people laid off here in Los Angeles and devastated, like for everywhere else. But she's one of the ones that's going to be working, and she's getting the projects, and I can't wait. I just can't wait. I'm so excited, like a kid coming up for Christmas. It's not soon enough to be working with you again.
We can't wait to see it too. And
Awesome.
Natasha, where can we check you out at? You want to give your Instagram?
Yeah,
your TikTok?
So my Instagram, my TikTok is Natasha Coppola-Shalom. My Instagram is Natasha Shalom. NATASHALOM. I think my Twitter is also Natasha Coppola-Shalom. It's one of the two, either Natasha Coppola-Shalom or Natasha Shalom. But in addition to Chrome, I have 2 other films on Amazon right now. One is called Rich Boy, Rich Girl. That's a rom-com. And then I have this beautiful film called Extra Innings, which is a 1960s baseball movie.
Okay.
And
That's on Amazon now?
That's on Amazon now, and that's beautiful. That's mental health awareness. It's beautiful, beautiful film. And I'm also doing a TV thing in January called Shoot from the Hip. That's a comedy, and I play a spicy, naughty cop. So, seductress.
So favorite kind of cop.
Yeah. So yeah, most of my stuff's on Amazon, but Chrome.
Very good.
Great. Hey, and guys, in the first 2 weeks, we did 93 million streaming minutes.
Wow.
You know, we're stunned. We're actually stunned with that side of, you throw it up there all these years and it mostly doesn't stick to the refrigerator because that's the life of the. And when this happens, so as much as people, and that's what you see when people are crystallized. I hated this movie. I love this movie. That's what you want, because when people look at it and they go, it's okay. Nobody's like, I got other stuff to do. I've got to go do some grooming or something. Whatever. And so I've been very pleased with that, but the numbers have been, that's why we're moving forward and why we picked up major distribution for it, from how we had started. And we had the deal with Amazon, but, let's do an entire episode on, Jeff Bezos, the emperor.
Yeah.
So, and how he pays and doesn't pay, et cetera, but, not that I'm hinting anything. He deserves, if anybody deserves $200 million an hour, which is what I heard his wages are, it's him, right? Because
no, it's me.
It's me. All right.
Awesome. And hey, congratulations again on the engagement.
Oh, thank you.
But
thank you so much.
Sure that the 4 of us are invited to the wedding. We won't bring our spouses. We won't even sit in the room. Whatever you got to do, but we got to come hang.
Wedding dress.
Well, I'll invite your spouses too.
Oh, okay. All right, I guess they can come. That'll be. Well, thank you guys so much.
Brock, wait, quickly. Brock, you had a baby.
I did.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
So you haven't slept. You haven't slept then. You're completely devoid of.
He's pretty good. Both my babies slept through the night. So I'm very lucky.
They're like the best 2 kids ever. Like, he had a great first kid that slept and is just like all pleasant. We're like, no way it's going to happen a second time. Then he gets one that's even better, and we're like, what the hell?
Because I'm such a jerk. You think I'd get like punished or something through my kids, but
I got 5 kids. They're all assholes, and somehow he gets 2 great ones. I don't understand how it worked out like that.
yeah.
But anyway, that's awesome.
He's sleeping I bring him in, but he's already asleep.
Very cool.
It is good. As you can see, Brock's sitting in his daughter's room that he just painted.
Yeah.
So,
The pink walls.
she's a sweetheart.
I see. Are those collectibles up there that I'm looking at?
Oh yeah, this is part of my wrestling action figure collection.
I see that out there.
As you can see, I'm not the one that has any children. Me and my wife just live. I have a whole nerd room, so that's what it's like. This is just one corner of it.
Awesome.
And that's it. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you guys again so much. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And the next year is going to be better than this year, no matter what.
Oh yeah.
Interviews. Don't forget about us when you come here.
Oh, for sure. Thanks, guys.
Oh, don't be silly. You're so lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Take
Great to
care.
see you again.
And we're done. We're out.
Okay.
Awesome.
Reduce function to standby mode.
Let harmonica play in any other key.
These shanties are a hazard to public health. Round up all the squatters and level the town. Everybody on your feet.
City dwellers are reminded that the harboring of escaped robot slaves is punishable by death.
I I was created as a companion.
A pleasure bot.
Some have called me that.
I am the future.
The basin actually fired. Alert.